Yvonne, can you hear me?
Oh. Hi, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I tried to start my video, but it said that the host, you cannot start your video because the host is
you are not a panelist. I'll make you a. Well, that's weird. You're a panelist with your voice. Oh, there's somebody.
Technology.
There's Cheryl in the waiting room already.
I was gonna say, can we just wait until I can test that I can present my PowerPoint?
Yeah, go ahead and try. You should have, see, I'm gonna make you a co-host.
Okay, so I should be able to share, host disabled participation, screen sharing.
No, hold on, you should be able to. I don't understand why you can't do the camera, that's really odd. Okay, you're a co-host now, so you should be able to screen share.
Okay.
And
okay, who can share? All panelists. Who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? Only host. Okay. So now can I start my video? Oh yes, there I am.
oh, good.
Oh, I'm a bit dark.
Awesome. And so just that you are aware, we have already somebody in the waiting room, which is awesome.
Do I look like
in the waiting room, ready to hear your presentation? So I'm not recording.
Just make sure that I can share.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, do I look really dark because of the background?
You look perfect.
Okay, well, thanks. I just want to make sure people can actually see me. Okay.
No, I can see you. I can see you.
So I want to share.
Cheryl or Jared, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself? No? Okay. Well, let's get started.
Okay, so I will.
I'm gonna introduce you, Yvonne. So welcome everybody. Thanks for those of you who are joining us live here today on our 4th day of the Small Business Week 2021. Today we have Yvonne Lam presenting about her mini online store that she launched and her marketing strategy around it. Yvonne opened the doors of the Ganji Stationery store in 1995. She has been a proud owner and operator for the past 26 years of Salt Spring only stationery stores selling office, school, and art supplies. Yvonne has retail in her blood since she grew up behind the counter of her parents' convenience store, Harbor Food Market, also known as Stan's. And recently she completed her master's in global management from Royal Roads University. And next, I think she's doing this right now. She's doing a digital marketing program, and we just chatted a little bit about that, and it sounds really exciting what she's planning to do with that here on Ganges. So I'm gonna hand it over to you, Yvonne. Thank you so much for presenting today.
Thank you, Inga. So recently there was a BC funded grant that was called the Launch Online Grant Program. So this was to allow small business owners to either launch an online store or to do an online booking system. For Ganji Stationery, the online store was relevant. So when I tried to decide whether or not as a brick and mortar physical store, did I need a digital presence? And I think that in today's marketplace, you can't go without a presence. For my store, there's over 2,000 products that we stock. So when I looked at it, I tried to decide how I could best utilize the technology to take advantage of my current business model. So with that, I came to what I'm now calling the mini online store. Why is it not letting me forward my screen presentation? There we go. Okay, so this is my tagline that is at the bottom of my mini online store. So it says, welcome to our mini online store. Please visit us in store for our full selection of products. So I am trying to encourage shoppers to see the types of items that I have, but I'm only ever going to have 10 to 15 items at a time that I'll rotate every couple of months. But I want people to know the types of things that we do stock and to come see us for our full selection, and that they can get these products immediately instead of waiting for delivery or going off island. So this is my website. So until recently, it was just the icons on the left side. And now that I've added the mini online store feature, I also have a cart. I've always used a Weebly platform for my website. It's a pretty simple do-it-yourself website. So because I had Weebly, I partnered with Weebly Checkout, and that is now the shopping cart aspect of my website. So this gives you an overview of what my mini online store looks like. And as I said, I have 10 to 15 items showcased each time, and it will rotate. So this was done for back to school, so it focuses on school type products. So all of the items can be clicked on and added to the shopping cart. And with Weebly Checkout, you can do the full payment processing through their site. They do a variety of cards, more than what I actually accept in store, with Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. And with it, you can choose how the customers will receive the items. For my business, when I looked at the option for delivery, it was far too expensive for me to be able to include. So I've chosen to just do pickup in store. I provided the information for my pickup location if people don't know. And we've said that we aim to have pickup available within 2 hours of their order while we are open. So one thing that I will share with you that I've now learned about using any of these online payment processors. So I did a first test transaction. I chose just a small amount to do my test. So the purchase amount for one eraser was 77 cents. I chose to use Visa, I paid for it, and then I receive email notifications anytime that an order is received, and then when payment is received. With that, I noticed that on this small transaction, because of the high cost per transaction, as well as the percentage that this payment processor Square uses, that it was almost half. But going forward, I know that as the dollar amount is higher, there will be less of a discrepancy between the two. When I chose to go with Weebly Checkout, there was a few options that you could choose as your payment processor. I had previously used Square for another business and chose to go with them. So this is some of the information that came from the Launch Online Grant Program when I received the funding. So they provided all businesses with a best practices playbook. So this just gave some information on business development in an e-commerce platform. So something that was required for the program was to keep track of all expenses, and then this expense report had to be submitted at the end of the time period. Another option was they had a digital marketing bootcamp. So if people needed help setting up their programs, they had information that was accessible here. They also had something that was Cyber Secure Canada, and this talked about cybersecurity and different controls that you could implement. So this just shows the expense report that was required for the funding program. So with the program, you could submit up to 75% of all of the total funds received. The maximum funding that you could apply for was $10,000. So with the 75%, this meant that you could apply for up to $7,500 in expenses. So for my store, the funding that I chose to apply for went towards buying Shutterstock, which was stock photos that I needed to use in my new mini online store. I also used the funds to pay for an upgrade in Weebly that allowed for me to have the checkout payment option. I also have funding to do ads on the Salt Spring Exchange for the next year. And then the last thing, as Inga mentioned, there's funding for training, and I chose to do a digital marketing online course, which is an 8-week course that I'm currently in the midst of. Part of my campaign has also been to thank Islanders for shopping local. So not only is it to showcase the types of products that are available on island, but also just to promote local shopping and what that means for us to have a healthy local economy. That is all from my standpoint, but we definitely now have lots of time for questions. And I also welcome you to tell me about what your business is currently doing and how you see an online store being part of your future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yvonne. That funding has now stopped, right? Like that was a one-time opportunity.
Yes, they actually extended it at one point, but yes, now it's all completed. And I believe that you actually had to finish your expense report beginning of September. I know that some people ended up having to ask for extensions, because one thing that I came across was when I first built my Weebly website, I had a person help me build it because it's beyond the scope of web design and all of that. So I asked them, they were not available. And then I continued because you needed to choose a BC based company to help you build your site because it's part of fostering the BC economy. Mm-hmm. But because the amount of time that was allocated to the program was relatively short, all of these BC companies became so incredibly overworked that it was hard to find somebody. So in the end, I actually had to learn to do all of the changes myself. I spent hours and hours on tech support, phone support to implement my online store. And then it was actually a really interesting process because I then learned how to update parts of my website that I hadn't previously known. So it was a good experience, I'd say. Right. Who do we still have with us? Let's see.
All three participants are still here. Anybody have a question for Yvonne or any experience I can share for running a business, an online business?
Did anybody else apply for the online grant? I think everybody's being shy.
I know about a couple other businesses on the island who have, but I have not heard their experience around that. So I'm curious to hear, how has been the uptake of it?
You know, interesting that you asked. So I launched it because I was under deadline. But then, as I mentioned before, I've been in the thick of doing this digital marketing course because I wanted to understand how to actually do my marketing now that I had this. So I've actually put it on hold a bit to do the marketing side of it until I finish my course. So a few more weeks, and then I'll have a bit more time to focus on how I actually want to advertise it. And you know, it's been interesting looking at different advertising platforms because locally, the Salt Spring Exchange is by far the best advertising platform I find for my own business. But looking at other options, I think I'm going to consider a Facebook business page. Those are probably where I'm going to target, but other sites seem to be Instagram. Instagram is very popular. It's not one that I've looked too much into. Does the chamber have an Instagram?
Yeah, we have an Instagram account.
So what do you find from the social platform side of things? What do you find works best?
That's a good question. I'm actually not sure what the numbers are. I think for the tourism, we have numerous sites, right? So the chamber has Facebook and Instagram, I think, and YouTube. But most of the posting that's being done is for the Salt Spring tourism side, what we do. So I think Instagram is really popular because, you know, on the Salt Spring tourism page, we share a lot of nice images from Salt Spring. Yeah, and Facebook as well. I mean, people who are coming here, they usually, you know, use
two things that I've learned about recently from my course is that Facebook is the #1 used social platform today. I had thought that it was maybe declining and that Instagram would be taking over, but Facebook is still the most popular. And then another one that I have recently learned is that email marketing is still actually very strong, which again, I thought that with the rise of social advertising, that would maybe be declining, but it spoke of how email marketing is still really advantageous. So which with the current week's small business promotions, how you're doing the daily emails, I think that's really great.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe, you know, people also need a lot of reminders, right? We're all so busy. We're trying to fit in these events if we can. And there's just a lot you can choose from, right? So having these reminders is important. So what about you? Are you building an email list?
I haven't yet, but I'm definitely learning from my course about many different ways of getting email addresses and how essentially to give value to customers. So why should somebody give you their email address, and learning about that. So I think I'm currently in the learning phase, and then hopefully once I'm done my course, we'll be able to put more of it into practice.
Well, I know that at least one person in the participant group here is quite interested in building possibly an online presence. And I'm wondering what advice you can give that person. I believe that person is like just starting out, thinking,
yeah,
a little intimidated possibly by it.
Okay. Well, I would say, if possible, find a professional to help you, right? Because as I said, when I first developed my website, probably 4 to 5 years ago, I had somebody that walked me through it. And this time around for the funding, I probably would have again worked with somebody, but everybody was just so busy that the few smaller things that I wanted to do, I just had to learn. But I would say to first get into it, find somebody that is a professional to help you set it up, because there's so many choices, right? So there's, first of all, if you're going to do a do-it-yourself site like Weebly, or if you're going to have somebody do a custom site, I think the best thing is actually just to speak to somebody that can tell you what all your options are. I see that Cheryl is unmuted. Would Cheryl?
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you are. I was going to say.
Okay. Well, I was going to say my connection with the chamber is I represent the Japanese Garden Society. So we have Heiwa Garden across from Art Spring. We do have an online store, but it's not a commercial enterprise in the way Yvonne's business is. We have books and things that we sell there that are connected with the Japanese Canadian community on Salt Spring, or the heritage aspect of it. So when we have a new publication or something new, we'll get a flurry of interest that comes through the store, but it's not an ongoing thing.
Okay, great. And you know what type of site you use?
You mean like in terms of, well, we have our own website, saltspringjapanesegarden.com. And so under that we have, we use WordPress is the way it was built. Yeah, it was built by Brian Smallshaw. Rumi Kanasaka is the current president, so it's her husband, Brian Smallshaw, and he built the website for us for the Japanese Garden Society. Yeah, so we can update it with photographs and information. We try to take events that are happening, say in the Victoria area, that are in some way connected to what we're involved with, and we publicize those as well.
And are you guys thinking of making any changes to your website or adding to your online store in the future?
Well, as we have items, we would add them to the store. But as I say, since retail is not our focus, that it's really just occasionally we have updates on the store.
And so when people order things, do they pay through your website, and how do they receive the products?
No, they don't pay through the website. Normally what they do is they send us a message to our email saying that they're interested in something, and then depending on where they are, because we get requests from the US as well as Canada, and so we can work out what the shipping costs would be, and then we tell them in total what the cost would be, and then they send us a check. That's normally how it comes.
Okay, great.
I want to do 2 plugins here. One is that if you're a chamber member, you actually get a discount on shipping with, I can't think of the provider right now. It might be Canada Post. So because shipping, like you mentioned there, Yvonne, is really expensive for a small business like yourself. So chamber members can take advantage of shipping discounts. Chamber members also get a discount on CRM management. So with Constant Contact, there is a discount. If you are starting an email list, you definitely need to have a management system for that. So getting that at a discount is great. And then sometime next week, I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to have a presentation from REAP, the Rural Island Economic Partnership that we are members of. And they are launching something called Welcome to Rising Tides Business Services. And through being a chamber member, you will be able to get a membership with was REAP at a discounted price, and you can take advantage of marketing support, website and e-commerce solutions. So you can find vendors that will help you set up your website or e-commerce store that do help you with digital advertising and so on. And this is just the start of the business services that they're gonna offer, which is a really great program, because it's all about, you know, sharing, working, coming together and sharing in these services. So, and all these service providers are vetted by somebody already. You know, you don't have to go out and look for somebody, and they're usually local, because it's all about supporting our rural island economy together. So yeah, so that's just something to be aware of, that this is out there. They're just launching it, so it's fairly new. And we will have a presentation on that shortly.
And are they based on Salt Spring?
Well, it's a rural island economic partnership. So some people are on Salt Spring, some are, they had a forum this morning and yesterday, and there are people like from all the Gulf Islands, southern and northern Gulf Islands.
Okay.
Are part of that. Yeah.
Well, I think
so it's a regional initiative. And I put the website into the chat. It's ruralislandspartnership.ca and then /rising-tide.
Great.
And I think in the future, they're also planning on providing business management services like bookkeeping, accounting, and again, making it available at a discount so that small island businesses can reduce their admin cost and marketing costs by pooling our efforts together.
Sounds great.
Yeah. All right, any other questions here? No?
Mm-hmm.
I'm all right. I'm kind of curious to hear about the shop local ideas. I don't know, Yvonne, if you feel like talking about that a little bit here in this forum right now, or if somebody else on the call has some ideas around it. I'm certainly interested to hear how a local business can use an online presence to help them grow and be resilient in this crazy times that we're in.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak a bit about the influencer campaign that I'm currently drafting. So even though my store has been around for 26 years, I find that today you have to continually remind people of who you are and what products and services that you can offer to them. From that standpoint, to raise brand awareness, I'm thinking about using something that's called an influencer campaign that showcases some local celebrities. As we all know, we have lots of local celebrities, everybody from Rafi to Matt Johnson, the drummer in 5440, to Tom Hooper, who is from the Grapes of Wrath, to name just a few. So my idea is to reach out to some of these local celebrities that, for myself, thinking that come into my store. So for me to ask whether or not they would be willing to be photographed underneath a business's sign, so showing what business they are currently shopping at, with a sign that says, I shop local. So just to bring some pride into, this is our community, we're all in it together, and that I shop local to support the local economy. So in a nutshell, that's what I'm currently working on, and hopefully will be something that can partner with the chamber to include other businesses in Ganges. Salt Spring Island, I guess, not just Ganges.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to exploring that more. Cheryl, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that with regard to Yvonne's store, I found it useful that she will order things that she doesn't necessarily, I mean, being a small store, she can't be expected to carry everything, but she is very willing to order things in, which is also the case over at Moat's Home Hardware. So I think that that's also good to promote to people who feel that, oh, I can't find it here. I have to go over to Duncan, or I have to go to somewhere off island, is how available things can be by ordering them in.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good point, Cheryl. Promoting that, you know, I know that you, Yvonne, do price matching as well whenever you can. Just educating people that that is an option. I actually had a keyboard example the other day. My son, I have two sons, teenagers. They're big online shoppers, right? And I try to encourage them every time to try to stay local when they can. And, you know, one of them was looking for a keyboard. And I was like, you don't have to buy a keyboard.
Yeah.
Like, just look around. And
yeah. And I think that brings to topic the broader conversation of shopping today and shopping in the future. Like what do we as consumers need and want? Because we're all social creatures. So therefore we all want community. So how do we business owners promote people, you know, specifically on Salt Spring where we're speaking about, but for people to come into town, grab a coffee, meet a friend for lunch, make it an event, right? Because that's it. I think in today's day and world, especially if you work from home, you're not getting that social interaction. You're on your computer, you're stuck in your same four walls. But to actually remind people that get out, see somebody, right? And with that, come into town. Because I think I hear too much all the time that people want things to be available to them on Salt Spring. But I realize if we don't support them, then our economy is not going to be there. So I think it's that gentle reminder of, you know, be a part of this community. You're part of what is going to make the economy healthy and part of what is going to make things available when you want them. But as you said, we all need reminders.
yes, we do. So let's together and try to figure out how to put those reminders out collectively, right? I mean, everybody on their own, also coming together as organizations and businesses to do it. And then, you know, and then there are those business owners who do want to sell off island, right? Like some of the artists, and maybe expand their market. So at the beginning of the week, we had Fab from Export Navigator doing a webinar. And I mean, there are lots of free resources. Like he runs a program that helps people export their products or services off island, exporting meaning off island. So
yes, like
it can be like Vancouver Island or BC or internationally, right? Like export means doesn't have to be a different country or a different province. And definitely a different island. Anyways, that Export Navigator program is free. And you know, I think artists can take advantage of it, and anybody who wants to sell off island and expand their market. Yeah. And it's free business advice and free support. I as an entrepreneur who was trying to do that, I would definitely take advantage of it.
Yeah. Great.
Ulrike, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, talking about business off island. So that's why I feel for my business it is important that I do that. I mean, I have an extensive mailing list over the years, and I have a lot of international or Canadian, all over Canada customers. So I want to stay in touch with them and make my products still available to them. You know, even though traveling is not necessarily possible for them, or they go to other destinations.
So how do you currently, so beyond your mail list, do you currently have a website? Do you have an online store where people can see your products?
No, I mean, I put my newest work, and I have been very sporadic actually, on Instagram and on Facebook. And I used to send several newsletters a year. And and my website is totally outdated, and I have I have been holding on to it because I wasn't really the necessity, and I was wondering if, you know, with how things were before COVID. So and I wasn't really ready, and I actually have started last year, and I noticed, for me, it's a learning curve, and it's fine for me to say that I wasn't personally clear what I wanted on the website. I felt like, you know, I have all kinds of different items. Sure, my main, what do they say? My main product, let's call it product, is shawls and scarves, and but then I had all the other things, and I got so distracted from what I really want to sell and to make, because I make the things, and it was kind of like overwhelming, and I had to figure that out myself. So I didn't have somebody to talk about that. So that took me a while, and but in the meantime, and then the shop also at the same time. And for that, I have an idea, and I'm working on pieces, you know, that I present. Let's say I say 3 right now. I mean, I have more possibilities. Let's say 3 different shawls, and I mean, they're all one of a kind, unique. But then I offer them in the different color combinations, and they can be ordered. That's one way. And the other way is that I am able to continuously add new pieces that I have that are there in my shop, in my studio, and that I can ship out immediately. So these 2 things, and then I can go from there. And my platform would be the Squarespace.
Okay. Well, I think you mentioned that you're currently using Facebook, Instagram, and that you have recently sent out newsletters. I think you're already doing 3 really great tactics. And I think as a small business owner, it is very busy, and you need to be easy on yourself. You can only do as much as you can. And I think that, as I mentioned previously, if possible, reach out to a professional in marketing and have them just give you your options. I think that's a very good starting point. Instead of trying to learn something completely new and managing it yourself.
No, I can't. I mean, I've been in your store, and I have kind of didn't really know the basics. No. But also to find the right person. It's not just about technology. It's also to have the understanding of the person, or at least to a certain degree, to what I'm aiming for, and get feedback. So, and I think I have finally found this person. So I'm really glad.
Yeah, well, that's a great first step.
Yeah, and what I hear both you and Yvonne speak to is for at least for an online store, is really, if you're a small business, to really just pick, you know, your best selling items, or like pick a small number of your products to put on that store. So it's manageable. You only need to promote that, what is on that website, right? And hopefully, hopefully you pick. I mean, it's different for you, Ulrike, than it is for Yvonne. Pick something that has a good return on your investment, right? Like, or where you
Yes.
that sells the most and you hopefully make the most profit with it.
Yeah, and that will also be a trial and error, so yeah, with every business in a way. It's not totally, I mean, because I will sell the things in the pieces eventually, but I know that, but I will see what kind of responses I get and from whom. That's another thing.
And I think that with marketing, it is always a work in progress. It's
Yes.
continuously evolving. And as you said, trial and error. And I think that's the beauty of being able to try something and then to change it if needed. But I think from what I've learned, you have to be evolving all the time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very true.
Have to be able to pivot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Cheryl's hand up.
Yeah, one thing I was wondering about is with Christmas shopping coming up, has there been thought given to the idea of doing a promotion for Salt Spring businesses, our members primarily, of course, but Salt Spring in general, saying, don't worry about long lines and so on, shop locally. I mean, with all these stories about things being unavailable, maybe you can't even get it before Christmas, is trying to emphasize that, you have things here that people could consider as Christmas gifts.
Yeah. Well, just this past week, I started putting up my Christmas display. It always seems too early in October, but I find that if you wait a few more weeks and it seems like it's almost a bit too late to get the display up. So I put up some of my cards and some of the products that I've received. And then I advertised on the Salt Spring Exchange saying, shop now for best selection. Because I think we're all hearing about it in the news that it's difficult to get products. And when people come into my store, for example, with dated products this year, and they're seeing something that is similar, but it may not be the exact date book that they've used for 20 years, I'm recommending that if they can deal with it, they should buy the one that is similar, because with all the factory shutdowns and all the shortages, I can't guarantee that that model will be made this year. And that's to be said for so much of my ordering. On average right now, I order every week from my main stationery distributor. I'm getting 40 to 50% of what I am ordering. That is how out of stock items are in warehouses.
Wow.
And I think it's only supposed to get worse as Christmas approaches.
Yvonne, maybe you can speak to it. In the past, there was a Shop Local Christmas initiative that I think the chamber possibly started, and then a local group of business, like Ganges business owners, took it over. What's the status of that?
So I actually was part of that committee for a number of years. The last few I've kind of passed along the torch, I could say. So it was a threefold event. So it was the Shop Local on Salt Spring, as well as Glowtini, which was a fundraising event that was Copper Kettle was our designated sponsor that we raised money for. And then the last event was the chili cook-off, which was just a fun family event that was held in the park. I think we would have up to 20 participants. People would come through, try chili. We had, I want to say Viva Corral would sing. So there was entertainment. So just a nice winter type activity. So I know that last year with COVID, Glowtini did not happen and the chili cook-off also did not happen. The Shop Local campaign, I haven't heard about it yet. So what it used to be was it would be Thursday night would be shop late, and it was usually done before the Glotini competition. So local businesses would stay open later. So I think typically till about 7 or 7:30 at night. And it was a night where they would offer discounts, sale pricing, just incentives to get people to come in. It was typically done either the first week of December or the last week of November, just depending on where. It was generally done on a Thursday. So depending on when that Thursday fell. Other Christmas ideas that we've previously done, there was the passport. So I think for participating businesses, they would go on the passport, and then as a shopper, if you went around to a certain percentage of those shops and got a stamp, then you would get entered into a prize. So be it a gift basket of local products, or I can't even remember what other prizes, but it was usually a compilation that the business owners would put together. So yeah, COVID has thrown events kind of out the window, but I think this year I've heard that the chili cook-off at least is a possible, because it's outdoors, but then it throws into the odd side effect that it's actually providing food. So, but I haven't heard confirmation on that. And yeah, I think also with COVID, people are just busier in different ways. Like I think as a store owner, as I mentioned previously, dealing with labor shortages or inventory shortages, I feel like everybody's a little bit in survival mode these days, that you're just trying to stock your store so you have something to sell at Christmas, much less thinking about partnering with another shop local campaign. So I haven't heard, because I used to be involved, Jana from Twang and Pearl used to be involved, Moet's Clothing, Mondo, a lot of the retail stores, and then Barb's was there. They would always offer, I think it was a 25% off gift certificate discount was a great offer that they did that evening. But yeah, I haven't heard anything about it so far this year.
All right. Maybe I'll look into that.
Yes, you'll have to spearhead it.
Well, the time is coming soon.
Yes, I know. Great.
Anyways, but yeah, I mean, hopefully the intention of the chamber is definitely to support shop local initiatives. Like I said, there's a possibility of applying for a grant around this. And we are planning on putting together, or I am planning on bringing together some local business owners to help with the ideation of it and see how we can make something happen.
Yeah, sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you all
Yeah.
for joining us today.
Yes, thank you again. Oh,
One moment. One moment. You know, you talked about shipping before a while back, and I just wanted you to introduce you to a young man who just opened a shipping company, Gabriel McKee, and he is right there here. And I thought I'd give him, in all your interest, a few minutes.
Can I have the headphones?
Yeah.
Hi.
Please.
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry, we're transferring over a telephone with some earbuds. So just a second. Yes, quite the yeah. Anyways. Okay.
It is Gabriel. Is that your name?
Yeah, Gabriel. Exactly. In just a second, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna step outside and I'll show you my face. Although I don't really know. Well, I don't know how to turn my camera on using an iPhone. I'm used to an Android, and Ulrika's phone is an iPhone.
No problem.
But
Tell
for
us
now, I guess
about
it's okay.
tell us about your business that you just launched.
Yeah, it's a business that so far has helped a number of businesses on Salt Spring reduce their shipping costs. I mean, they're used to shipping with Canada Post, and I guess one, for example, started shipping with me at the end of August, and we've saved $500 since then, just on shipping fees. So what the system is it's a aggregator of courier services. So once a week, she provides me a list of all of the boxes that are leaving her her studio with a bunch of addresses, and I then take those numbers, I plug them into my system, and like I said, the prices, or maybe Ulrika had mentioned it, but the prices that I give her are about 20 to 25% cheaper than Canada Post. Pretty important also to mention that what is pretty normal, I guess, here on Salt Spring for shipping these kinds of packages is the weekly, if not daily, trip to Canada Post. And my service actually offers pickups from the front doors of business people, or if people are working from home, the pickup is directly from their front door.
That sounds like a really good service you're offering.
Yes, I think so too. and honestly, I started it strictly to help. You know, like it's we rely so much, or at least in the past, we've relied so much on Canada Post, and this came across my oh, well, look at that. Ironically enough, the the van to pick up my stuff is here now. The guys literally just showed up. Super ironic. Wow. Okay.
But it sounds like do you have to jump off, or?
No, definitely not. He doesn't need my help.
Okay.
No, I'll just say hi to him.
And what's the name of your business?
Salish Shipping Co.
Good, great to know.
Oh, hello. There's another person here. I thought there was only me and the one lady.
Well, I would love to learn more about what you do, and maybe if we can promote you to our membership.
That would be awesome.
Member to member offerings is what we try to promote. So
okay,
maybe consider becoming a member so we can put you out there to the other members.
Okay, and this is a membership to the Salt Spring Island Chamber of Commerce, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so I had seen something on the exchange about the Small Business Week that I guess is just finishing up now, right?
Yes, you're on it.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
You are now a small business featured during the Small Business Week.
Wow. Well, I hope I can help as many of you as possible. Now I've lost my train of thought, of course. I just wanted to, I guess one last thing too is that the service works for getting things to Salt Spring as well. It's not strictly for Salt Spring to leave the island, but it works for ordering raw materials from suppliers as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you email me at inga@saltspringchamber.com, and we can set up a chat and talk more about it.
Okay, that sounds great to me.
Great.
You will. I have recently advertised on the exchange, so if you did search Salish Shipping Co., you would see my advertisement.
Okay, great.
Just as a heads up.
Perfect. Well, thanks for the little plug in and joining us unexpectedly here.
Yeah, well, I don't know how this works, but I wanted to like show my face, and I have one.
You have at least a voice, so we are assuming you have a face too.
Can you turn the camera on for me, Ulrika?
Anyways, we're at the top of the hour here. Let's see if we
Right.
can see Gabriel or not. Again, thank you so much, Yvonne, for presenting today. And I really enjoyed our conversation that kind of unfolded from, your presentation and the shop local conversation. This is really fun hosting these sessions. I hope we'll do more of these sessions. I think it's important to connect our local business owners together and have these conversations, because we're so in our isolation and our silos often, right? And I want to thank our sponsor, Windsor Plywood, for sponsoring the whole Small Island Business Week. And make sure you try to join us for the panel about staffing shortage on the island, which will be an interesting conversation, I believe. Maybe we'll find some answers for it, but yeah. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Gabriel, are you quickly gonna show your face, or you're?
Bye.
Bye, Cheryl. Thanks for
Bye,
joining.
Cheryl. Thanks
Bye.
for
Thank you
joining.
very much.
Bye, everyone. Have a nice afternoon.
Yeah, Ivana, hold on for a moment.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.